We are getting about a 0.5% uptick on the Nifty.
The market is up 90 points. 9,280 odd is where the index is trading at. The market has come off the highs. We were up about 130 points. We're up about 80 as things stand right now.
The market has been in the green. The mid-cap index and the bank Nifty are outperforming the Sensex and the Nifty by a big margin today. On the mid-cap screens, a pretty decent performance.
Well, the market rally continues. The Nifty posts its biggest two-session gain in April. The IT index gains while FMCG is under pressure.
Nifty Bank gains close to 3%. Bond yields fall sharply as RBI announces simultaneous purchase and sale of government bonds.
The Tata Group stocks gain after the company plans to pump in up to $5 billion across group companies to counter the short-term liquidity challenge due to COVID-19. That's a CNBC TV18 exclusive.
Glenmark Pharma surges over 7.5% on reports that the company is looking to manufacture an antiviral drug used to treat COVID-19 patients in China and Japan.
And the European Central Bank acts preemptively to mitigate potential credit rating downgrades, announces that it accepts assets which were investment grade as on April 7th as collateral up to September 2021. Well, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Markets Today. I'm Sonia Shenoy, and with me is Mangalam Malu. Mangalam, hi, good evening.
Good evening, Sonia. You know, we saw a good day of trade today. The Nifty closed at nearly a month's high, but that's not all. We have a whole host of things to watch in today's show. We'll get you market expert opinion coming in from S. Krishnakumar of Sundaram Mutual Funds. Also bring you industry opinion from Royal Enfield CEO Vinod Dasari on when it plans to start production. But before all of that, Sonia, a good day indeed.
Absolutely. You know, the bulls charged ahead today, Mangalam. So it was the second day of big gains that the market saw, right? The Nifty went up 126 points. It was a secular move on the upside today. So that was the best part of today. Two heavyweight sectors, banks and technology, led from the front. The bank Nifty was up 560 points. Names like Kotak Mahindra Bank, ICICI Bank were up about 5 to 8 odd %. And not just that, technology stocks surged as well. So you had TCS, Infosys that were up about 5 odd %. So things look pretty good. Apart from that, if you map the trajectory since the first day of the lockdown, it's almost a month now, the Nifty is now up 24% from the first day of the lockdown, which was 24th of March. So we've really managed to cover quite a bit of ground in the last 1 month. If you look at individual pockets, the NBFC surged today in the hopes of some sort of stimulus coming through. Muthoot, Manappuram Finance, LIC Housing were all stocks that went up 7 to 10%. And also, Mangalam, the overarching theme today was the fact that there is some stability that has returned both to global markets as well as to crude oil prices, and that boosted sentiment today as well.
Absolutely, that did boost sentiment, Sonia. And you spoke about the heavyweights doing well, the heavyweight sectors, that is the banks as well as IT stocks. And, you know, in that itself, the Nifty Bank, 75% of the Nifty Bank is comprised of HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank. All those stocks surged in today's trading session and led the Nifty Bank higher. Along with that, the IT stocks as well, the three frontline stocks, we have Infosys, HCL Tech as well as TCS, all of them surging higher. TCS and Infosys clocking in gains of almost 6%. The auto pack as well did fairly well today. Some hopes of stimulus did well for a couple of these two-wheelers, the likes of Bajaj Auto, Eicher Motors, and agri companies as well, or agri tractor makers, M&M higher by almost 2%. FMCG, which has been holding up one end of the market during the bad times, saw a bit of a pullback today. So we saw some profit taking. HUL, of course, was under pressure on account of weak numbers coming in from Unilever and weak commentary for India. the global parent. Titan also lower on account of Goldman Sachs report. Mid-cap financials, you spoke about them. Big moves coming by. Earlier in the week, we saw a big decline in the names like Ujjivan and Equitas. All of them bounced back today. Gold financiers have been doing well, so Muthoot and Manappuram did well too. But apart from that, Glenmark from the pharmaceutical pack did well. We had SRF doing well, but a couple of stocks did not do too well. Aurobindo Pharma saw some profit taking after the big move that it saw a couple of days ago, and United Spirits as well ended lower in trade. All right, so those were individual stocks and the way the market moved today. But let's get in some market opinion as well. S. Krishna Kumar of Sundaram Mutual Fund gives us his sectoral view.
Already we are seeing that the companies are not able to talk about the current year's growth guidance, etc. Our own checks with the channels do indicate that a lot of decisions are being postponed on new projects, etc., while ongoing negotiations on rates, billing, productivity improvements, etc., are ongoing. So this immigration issue further also puts a little bit of bother there. The currency could be always a tailwind, but I think more of it is kind of always a trading an idea. But I think fundamentally the businesses are incrementally getting challenged. We do believe this year would be a negative year in terms of growth for these companies. So not defensives anymore, and hence we are very negative on the space at this point in time. With COVID, I think clearly there has been a spate of approvals also for the Indian companies on the US FDA front. Whether you want to link it to a supply of HCQS or whatever, I think there's been a lot of generosity from the US FDA in this times when there's a shortage of drugs, etc. in the US. Generic pricing has got a lot better at this point in time, and valuations in these stocks have been very reasonable in the given the correction of the last 5 years. And many of them have cleaned up the balance sheets also from the mistakes they made in the past of huge acquisitions. So we've been, definitely adding to pharma and, all the frontline names in the large cap oriented funds and some of the mid caps also in the other funds. So we have moved to a kind of a neutralish to an overweight position across funds on pharma.
Okay, that was some important market opinion coming through, but let's go across to the second headline now. The Nifty Bank rallied close to 3% today, with Kotak Mahindra Bank ending at the highest level in the last 6 months. Private banks led the Nifty Bank over 500 points higher. The bond yields also fell sharply as the RBI announced a simultaneous purchase and sale of government bonds. Lata Venkatesh is here to give us more details on all of that. Lata.
The Reserve Bank has been doing a lot to bring the yields in several shorter term paper and longer term paper lower. Of course, it cut the reverse repo rate. It has been buying treasury bills in the secondary market and it has also perhaps bought in the primary market in the government bond auctions. This simultaneous buying and selling of government bonds should be seen as yet another step to bring down yields. Now, one of the reasons why the yield is high in the government securities market is most of the banks don't want to buy government bonds for fear that the government will come with another big auction later in the year and bond prices will fall because of oversupply. To remove that fear from the minds of the buyers, the Reserve Bank has used this ploy. Now, by buying bonds, largely illiquid bonds, the banks are making money. There were no buyers for it and they had bought these bonds at lower prices. Now they're getting a better price. So banks are in the money when RBI buys the bonds, and therefore they are ready to subscribe to government bonds in a simultaneous auction. It's merely a ploy to create demand for government bonds and remove the mark-to-market loss fear that banks are having. The market has been extremely happy because of this, and ever since this announcement came in the morning, we've seen bond yields go down to as low as 6.06%. Overnight it was 6.22, so that's a big fall of 16 basis points. That means bond prices have risen by almost 2 rupees. The expectation in the market is when the Reserve Bank comes with the new 10-year paper, and if it persists with such simultaneous buying of bonds along with selling, then the 10-year paper will very soon see yields even below the 6% mark.
All right, Lata, lower yields meant that the banks and the finance companies did fairly well today. With that, we move on to our third headline, a CNBC TV18 exclusive at that. Tata Sons could pump in up to $5 billion across its group companies between FY21 to FY24. Tata Group stocks gained anywhere between 1% to 5%, some of them even 6% higher. Kritika Saxena is here with more details. Kritika.
Well, this is Tata Sons' strategy to be able to counter any short-term liquidity crunch should it arise in any group company. And we understand from our sources that the group is willing to pump in up to $5 billion across FY21 to FY24. Now, that's the wide target that they have set in mind. However, in the short term, they are likely to look at an investment of about $2 billion. Now, again, this is the fallback or the backup strategy that they have in mind to tide through this period. What we understand is that they may look at raising up to $2 billion and two modes have been identified. One is the RCF or the revolving credit facility. They may look at $1 billion of fundraising through that, and the other is external commercial borrowings or the ECB route, which they could look at $700 million to $1 billion of fundraising. Now, we do understand that other modes are also being looked at in terms of cost rationalization, in terms of what more they can do to be able to bring in capital, to bring in liquidity into group companies. But broadly, we understand that the funds may be deployed into Tata Steel and Jaguar Land Rover and some of the consumer-facing businesses that have been hit the most by COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Kritika. So the Tata Group looking to pump in more money, especially into companies like Tata Motors and Tata Steel. But moving on, let's also get you some opinion from India Inc. Can't be desperate to open plants at the cost of human life. Now, that's not me. That's the word coming in from Royal Enfield's Vinod Dasari. In a conversation with CNBC TV18, Vinod Dasari said that the company will wait for the government to give them an order to decide whether it is safe or for manufacturers to resume operations. Listen in.
Life is far more important than profit. So the government will decide when it is safe for all of us to open. And I'm sure they take the public health interest first. And so I support that. I know that we are all desperate and wanting the businesses to open. I want it just as much as anybody else, but they're not at the cost of humanity. Well, it's, we are ready to open all three of our plants. All of them are in Chennai. The issue will be to help our suppliers get started and get going. So readiness is there. And we have even designed the plant operations to have social distancing, even though it's inefficient to do so. But let's wait and see when the lockdown is over. As of now, we have not cut anybody's salaries, even for our contract labor or temporary workforce, including the housing and sanitation workers. We've ensured that they get their full pay. In fact, those who get lower than 30,000 salary, we're actually paying them, trying to pay them more frequently. We'll have to take a call later on as to what needs to be done. But as of now, I feel that even if it gets extended, we will first take care of our employees and our ecosystem, which is our suppliers as well as our dealers. I don't think we will be doing any furloughs in the near future.
All right, so those were the top three headlines. Take a short break, come back. We'll be back in a jiffy with all the other two headlines.
Welcome back. You're still watching Markets Today on CNBC TV18. This is the show where we try and summarize 6 hours of the day's trading action in just half an hour. Well, this is the time where we tell you about our fourth big headline for today. Glenmark Pharma was a stock that rallied over 7.5% after we learned from sources that the company has now managed to develop an API for an antiviral drug, Favipiravir. I hope I got that name right, but Ekta Batra, our resident expert, is here to give us more details on all of that. Ekta.
Well, yes, Glenmark is in focus on the back of reports that the company is looking to manufacture an antiviral drug, Favipiravir. Now, this particular drug is already being manufactured and sold by pharma company Fujifilm and is apparently been used in cases in coronavirus in China and Japan. Now, Glenmark, we do understand from sources, has managed to manufacture or create the API for this particular drug, which is expected to be quite difficult to make, and they've applied to the drug regulator of India for clinical trials. Now, the clinical trial outcome probably takes 2 weeks to a month. So if they do pass through the clinical trials, they can probably sell the drug in India as well and launch it. Now, since the drug is off patent, however, remember that there would be other companies that can probably enter the market when it comes to this particular drug in India. Now, Glenmark, remember, is only developing this antiviral drug for the Indian market and not for other markets such as the US. We reached out to the company for a comment, but they wished not to comment on the story.
Ekta, thanks a lot for that. So that's about Glenmark Pharma. Let's talk about the fifth and the last headline for today. Remember, moments ago we had Lata talk about how the RBI is ensuring that it'll do whatever it takes to support the markets. It's not just the Indian Central Bank. The European Central Bank also has announced that it will accept some junk-rated debt as collateral for its loans to banks to shield the euro area's most vulnerable economies. In light of the risk of credit downgrades, the ECB has also announced that it will accept assets which were investment grade as on April 7th as collateral up to September 2021. Global markets too rose on the back of this news. Lata is here. Now she will talk about the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank of India's plan to provide 25,000 crore rupees liquidity to NBFCs through a TLTRO did not find many takers. The bids received were only for about 12,800 crore rupees. Lata, what more do you have for us?
Yeah, exactly. The Reserve Bank was willing to give banks 25,000 crore at 4.4. The only condition being they have to give it to NBFCs. But banks only took 12,800 or just put in bids for 12,800 crore. Why this disinterest? I mean, it's a steal of a rate to get it at 4.4. They can easily charge NBFCs, listed NBFCs like Bajaj Finance and HDFC are paying between 7.5% and 8%. So why are banks refusing? It is the way in which the TLTRO is constructed. If you take 1,000 rupees, then 50% you can give anyone, but 10% has to be given to investment grade bonds by MFIs. 15% has to go to NBFCs which are of a size under 500 crore and another 25% to NBFCs of size between 5,000 and 500 crore in terms of assets. Now, banks have been complaining that it is not very easy to find investment grade paper of these lower varieties. And, then you're penalized. If once you take the money, you have to give 15% to the under 500 crore NBFCs, which they're not sure, it may turn bad. It takes a long time to find such kind of paper. They would have been okay if no such categories were there, or there was a general category of above 25,000 crore, below 25,000 crore. This too much of subdivisions has scared away the bankers. Some of them are already 10% NBFC limit up. So that's one other reason why appetite is low in these TLTROs. The net for the NBFCs, they were expecting a line of credit from these TLTROs. It is not quite worked up to expectation.
All right, Lata, thanks a lot for explaining that to us. So that's the latest on the NBFC front. But in a bid to shore up resources to fight the pandemic, the central government is freezing the dearness allowance to employees and dearness relief to pensioners at the current rates. And this freeze will take place till July of next year. States and centres will save about 1.2 lakh crore rupees because of the freezing of this dearness allowance. Sapna Das is here to give us more details on all of this. Sapna, over to you.
Yeah, hi. So basically, the government's aim here is, balancing the spend that they have to do on the health sector because of the COVID pandemic. And then looking for resources at the same time at the other end. So, earlier also, if you're aware, 8th April, the government had put out an order in terms of some kind of expenditure cut in terms of the spending of various ministries and departments, barring the few which are right in the front line of fighting this pandemic. So similarly on the DA front, probably a kind of a similar call has been taken. There is 3 installments of DA, even the one that was approved by the cabinet on 13th of March, and that was supposed to be effective from Jan 2020. All these 3 installments, right up to July 21, will not be there. There's a complete freeze on both the DNS allowance as well as the DNS relief, pensioners and employees both. The overall savings government is estimating is around 38,500 crores for the centre, a very big amount, around 82,000 crores for states, because states generally follow the central government's pattern in terms of giving out DR. So, this is a neat kitty that the government is looking at. I suppose this is the time for them to look for a source so that whatever additional expenditure is required to fight the pandemic, that will be focused on that front.
Okay, well, tightening its purse strings there, the government. Thanks so much for that, Sapna. With that, it is curtains down on this edition of Market Today. In fact, in just half an hour, Mangalam and me told you all that you must have missed in the 6 hours of markets today. But thanks so much for joining in. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening.
When I wanted to take a life insurance,